Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Amber Enterprises India Limited Q4 and FY21 earnings conference call. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company, which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectation of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not the guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Daljit Singh, Managing Director from Amber Enterprises India Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Yeah, hello and good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I hope all of you and your families are safe and all of you are taking necessary precautions during these unprecedented times. I wish best of health to you and your families. On the call today, I am joined by Mr. Sudhir Goyal, our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Sachin Gupta, Head of RAC Division, and Strategic Growth Advisor, our Investor Relation Advisors. We have uploaded our results presentation on the exchanges and I hope everybody had an opportunity to go through the same. I would open my remarks by giving a brief overview on the industry environment, followed by business update and operational and financial performance highlights for Q4 and FY21. The consumer durable industry made a strong comeback in second half of financial year 2021 as the economy cruised to normalcy. Work from home trend and pickup in the residential sales were the significant tailwinds for the demand revival. The overall recovery in the business was better than expectations at the beginning of the year. The RAC industry, which had witnessed demand uptick in the September quarter, led by steady improvement in consumer sentiments, continued its improvement trajectory in the March quarter. In the anticipation of good summers, sales have been pushed to retail segment aggressively. The channel inventory at the end of March 2021 stood at normalized levels. However, the growth momentum has been disrupted by a second wave of COVID-19 during April and May. While the COVID-19 vaccination efforts have gained momentum, uncertainty is rising due to the surgence of COVID cases across many parts of India and lockdown restrictions of varying degrees. Local lockdowns in many locations has led to varying utilization levels at the plants. The extent of second wave of COVID-19 pandemic might impact the group results, of which at this juncture is highly uncertain. The situation remains fluid and we will provide an update on the situation in the future. Now let me talk about the government interventions which will provide the much needed impetus to the industry, and at Amber we are confident to seize this opportunity. As mentioned previously, the ban on imports with the refrigerant filled ACs have opened huge opportunities for domestic manufacturers. With this notification, we have already signed 6 new customers for refrigerant filling solution since this notification has been announced. As communicated earlier, the government has approved PLI scheme for air conditioners and LEDs with a total budgetary allocation of rupees 6238 crores. The scheme of air conditioners will provide an incentive of 4 to 6% on incremental sales of AC components manufactured in India over a period of 5 years. This will help in creating a component ecosystem within the country and make India a manufacturing base for global. This will increase the domestic value addition from currently 25% to 75% next 5 years. Over the past few years, Government of India has increased the import duty on completely built units and even components to boost local production. For instance, the import duty on RAC compressors has increased to 15% in Union Budget 2022. Similarly, fully finished AC units now attract an import duty of 20% against 10% earlier. This augurs well for the growth in domestic manufacture of RACs and in components, and we would endeavor to grab majority of the market share. We had also announced 2 new greenfield facilities, one in Supa region near Pune and other in South India. We have completed acquisition of land for the Pune facility and construction has already started. We expect to operationalize the same by Q4 FY22. We have shortlisted the land in South India and will be completing the formalities for buying the same in next 1-2 months and start construction thereafter. I will now take you through the consolidated financial highlights. Revenue, our consolidated revenue for Q4 FY21 stood at rupees 1,598 crores as against 1,315 crores in Q4 FY20, a growth of 22%. In Q4 FY21, RAC contributed 60% of total revenues, while components and mobility application contributed 40% of revenues. For Q4 FY21, we witnessed an operating EBITDA of rupees 147 crores as against 119 crores in Q4 FY20. Operating EBITDA margins for Q4 FY21 stood at 9.2% as compared to 9% in Q4 FY20. PAT for the quarter stood at rupees 76 crores as compared to rupees 63 crores. This includes rupees 11.24 crore positive impact due to change in tax rate in Q4 FY20. PAT margins for Q4 FY20 stood at 4.8%. Please note, FY21 figures are not comparable to previously year due to nationwide lockdown during the peak summer season, which led to subdued sales in H1 FY21. Our consolidated revenue for FY21 stood at 3031 crores. In FY21, RAC contributed 55% of total revenues, while component and mobility application contributed 45% of revenues. For FY21, we witnessed an operating EBITDA of rupees 229 crores with operating EBITDA margins at 7.5%. PAT for FY21 stood at rupees 83 crores. Now coming to subsidiary financials. In Sidwal, Q4 FY21 revenues for Sidwal stood at rupees 80 crores. Operating EBITDA stood at rupees 21 crores. FY21 revenues for Sidwal stood at rupees 201 crores with operating EBITDA at rupees 48 crores. In the recent budget, 26 new cities have been earmarked to have metro lines and 1,700 kilometers of line to be added under metros. This will bring immense opportunity to supply more ACs for metro coaches, and Sidwal is well placed to capture this opportunity. Order book continues remain healthy within this business segment. PICL, revenues for PICL stood at rupees 71 crores for Q4 FY21. Operating EBITDA stood at rupees 6 crores and operating EBITDA margin stood at 9.1%. For FY21, revenues for PICL stood at rupees 131 crores. Operating EBITDA stood at rupees 7 crores and operating EBITDA margin stood at 5.1%. With the announcement of PLI scheme, we are preparing for the next leg of growth and expect to double the revenues for PICL along the improvements in margins in next 2 to 3 years' time. ILJIN and EVER. For Q4 FY21, revenue for ILJIN stood at rupees 118 crores and in EVER stood at rupees 59 crores. FY21 revenue for ILJIN stood at rupees 307 crores and EVER revenue stood at rupees 154 crores. As of 31st March 2021, on consolidated basis, we have positive cash flow of rupees 115 crores as against net debt of rupees 246 crores as on 31st March 2020. To conclude, I would like to reiterate that our constant endeavor would be to increase penetration and increase our wallet share in the existing customers, continuously add new customers, create a foothold in export market and enhance our product with new technologies by focusing on R&D. With this, I open the floor for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Ankur Sharma from HDFC Life Insurance. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Good morning. Thanks for your time. I had a couple of questions. One, if you could share with us, what was the AC volume, in units for Amber for FY21? Typically we put this number in our slides, which I could not see, and also what was the similar number for the industry? Just trying to see, how we've done versus the industry volumes.
Yeah, good morning, Ankur. So, as Amber, in FY21, we have done AC volumes of around 2.1 million, and the gas charging units are separate. While on the industry level, if you see, there was a national lockdown, obviously, in April, May, and industry came back to the normalized levels. And as total industry, our estimates are somewhere around 5.8 million units, which were done in FY21, basically. So overall, if you see, the industry in the Q4 has done fairly well. We have seen a tremendous increase and a growth in Q4, while obviously on the complete year-round basis, the industry was impacted due to nationwide lockdown.
Okay. Helpful, sir. And also, secondly, on the standalone sales, we did about 1,300 odd crores in Q4. If you could give me the breakup into AC and the components business on the standalone side.
So if you see on standalone side, almost around 60% revenues was done by the RAC segment, and remaining was the component and the subsidiaries, basically.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for that, sir. Second, sir, on the inventory, so while you did touch about, March end being kind of normal given the strong retails, but as we all know, right, I mean, starting second week of April, we've seen these lockdowns, etc., got worsened into May. So are you, so if I had to say compare it, say, to the last year, same time when we had lockdowns, is the inventory situation worse off, better this time around? Were retailers better prepared? And more importantly, would you expect a similar rebound, once things open up, like what we saw last year also from June onwards, all the way till March? Would you expect a similar pent-up demand kind of playing out?
Sure. So, Ankur, if you see, last year was very different because it was a complete lockdown. It was nationwide lockdown, and industry was caught all of unaware and nobody was prepared. But this time, the lockdown is more localized, as well as industry was anticipating a little bit of, disruptions due to COVID, and everybody was little aware. So I would say inventory levels are better off in the industry than last year. However, it is very uncertain times right now because we are yet to see how this unlockdown happens. Hoping that it does happen in May, it opens up in June, it opens up. So we are sure that inventory liquidation shall happen immediately after that. See, the work from home is a new concept now. Everybody definitely looks for comfort living over here while working from home. So we are very hopeful that the pent-up demand as well as the demand should come back to normalized level again, and industry should be on the path of its growth again. So it's yet to be seen how these lockdowns are again, unlockdown is happening, how unlockdown will happen probably in month of June, and how the COVID situation pans out. But we are hopeful that, it should go better and industry should rebound again as it did last year. And inventory levels are better off, then it is not as bad as last year.
Perfect. Okay. And just one last one, if I may squeeze in, is, on the PLI side, right? So while the announcements have come, we have some more details on what exactly the government has to offer. So what is Amber thinking? If you could just please elaborate, which components are you looking at, in terms of the PLI scheme? I know in terms of compressors, we heard noises and news around, not noises, but news that, you may be looking at a tie-up with some local Indian players to enter that space. So some comments, on those would be very appreciated. Yeah, thanks.
So Ankur, if you see, though the broad PLI contours are there, but yet the policy and the deployment and the narrowed down version is yet to be coming. If you see, the PLI scheme was announced, and primarily it is on the component basis only. And it is divided into primarily into two sections. One is the higher value components such as compressors and inner groove tubes and aluminium. And the other ones are the PCBs, motors, the cross flows, fans, and all that. However, so as Amber, we are already present in PCBs and motors, so we would be definitely going forward and doing investment and making best opportunity out of this PLI scheme. We continue to explore in the upper segment, which is a higher value segment over there. And if we find right partners, definitely we would be seeking this opportunity and looking forward also. In PCB and motors, we are already aligned and we are already moving ahead over there. So we are still waiting for the refined version and fine-tuned version of PLI scheme to be out. So as and when it is out, we would be definitely moving forward and taking this as an opportunity.
Perfect. And sir, just one thing, I think on the subsidiaries, if you could also talk about the margins for Ever and IL JIN. I think you mentioned the full year top line, but I think I missed out on the margin numbers. If you could share that as well. That's all from my side.
Sudhir, can you just give that information, please?
Yeah. So hi, Ankur. Good morning.
Hi, sir.
So
Hi.
for the subsidiaries, as we said in the speech, that 130 crore turnover we have achieved in full year in PICL, and the operating EBITDA margin was 6.64 crores. And if we talk about the quarterly numbers for PICL, it is 71 crore and
Correct.
6.43 crore operating EBITDA.
Correct. Yeah.
And for IL JIN, we have achieved 307 crore of a turnover with 14.65 crore operating EBITDA. And for March, it was 118 crore with 4.67 crore EBITDA, operating EBITDA. And Ever, we have full year, we have achieved 154 crore turnover with a operating EBITDA of 7.34 crores. And for March quarter, we have done a turnover of 59 crore with a operating EBITDA of 3.7 crores. And on Sidwal, overall year basis, we have done 201 crore turnover with a EBITDA of 48.49 crores. And on quarterly basis, we have done a turnover of 80 crores with a operating EBITDA of 21.4 crores.
That's all. Yeah. That's all.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, please limit your question to 2 per participants only. You may come back in the question queue if you have a follow-up. The next question is from the line of Dhruv Jain from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Sir, I had one question with respect to this gas charging opportunity that...
The person you are speaking with...
Yeah, sorry. I had this one question with respect to the gas charging opportunity that you had earmarked. You had said that you signed about 6 customers. So how many of these customers would get converted to the full RAC business, and how many would be the gas charging bit only? And what would be the indicative market share of these customers?
So good morning, Dhruv. And Dhruv, please, if you see in gas charging, the announcement of this ban was made in last October. So October, November, and as a discussion with all the customers, we started give the solution of gas charging. However, all of these as a phase 1 only. However, all of these customers would be converted into long-term customers into the complete manufacturing. And so we would be we are already discussing with all of these customers, and these customers are pretty large size customers. And they would be definitely moving towards into complete manufacturing shortly. Some of them are moving in this financial year, and others would be converting in the next financial year. So we are highly opportunistic opportunity. We are taking this as an opportunity, and we are very hopeful that we will be able to convert all these customers from gas charging into the complete manufacturing and give the complete solution to them, basically.
Great, sir. Thanks for that. And just another question, on the PLI scheme. Now, you highlighted that, you will wait for the fine print. But, any indicative CapEx in the, if you will go for the large investment that is highlighted, or you will go for the medium investment, and if there is any additional CapEx outlay that you would earmark for this, apart from what you had earlier highlighted in your last quarter's call.
So, Dhruv, it is a little early to give some numbers over here in terms of the capex earmarked for the PLI scheme. Like I earlier mentioned, PLI scheme is broadly into two, which is one is higher capex intensive capex, which is copper tube and compressors and aluminium, and other is PCBs, motors, and cross-flow fan service walls. So Amber is already present in PCBs and motors, so definitely we will be taking this as an opportunity and going forward for applying in PLI scheme over there. We are hearing that the PLI scheme might have sheet metal as injection molding and also and heat exchangers also. But we are still waiting. If it comes, definitely Amber is already present in all these three verticals. So we would be taking that as an opportunity also. For the higher ticket size, we are continuing to explore and we are just waiting for the fine-tuned version. And as and when it comes out, then we'll look forward and we'll see what best is there for Amber. But as Amber, we are pretty out there already, and we would like to definitely capitalize this and as an opportunity and be ready for this. So PCB's motor is already there, but to give the complete numbers, it is very early stage right now that to give any numbers out there.
Sure, sir. Thanks for that. That's it from my side.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, please limit your question to 2 per participants only. The next question is from the line of Madhav Marda from Fidelity Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir, good morning and thank you so much for your time. My question is just in continuation to the previous one on the PLI. If I look at the PLI document, there's a section called AC components, which is, I think, as is stated, it's high value or low value or sub-assembly or a combination thereof. So in case if we decide to go in for the high value intermediates as well, should I assume that we would go in for the combination package, which is the sort of the first one in the PLI document, where the investment goes up to 600 crores as well for the large ticket size? Can that be something we look at too?
Hi, good morning, Madhav. So Madhav, as earlier mentioned, we are still waiting for the fine-tuned version, and also which all components get covered in lower intermediate value and higher value. Higher value is though clear, as well as definitely lower value is still being discussed. While at the same time, if you see in lower value, as I mentioned, like PCBs and motors are already there, and if it heat exchangers, injection molding, and this sheet metal comes in, we would be definitely applying over there. And obviously, if in higher value also it makes sense and we find the right partners over there and combine together, if it and we are confident enough that we can apply for AC components, definitely we can look forward for that. But however, for now, if you see, we are confident of applying in lower value intermediate. Higher value is still to be, we are exploring, we are looking at the right partners. And if we find any right partners, we'll be applying in that also.
Okay. And by when is the fine print expected? Is it like the next 1 month or will it take longer?
The fine-tuned version, I think so, should be out there probably in another 1 month. But however, due to lockdowns and all that, though the government is already working and aggressively working on it. So we are hoping that it should be out there probably in another 1 month time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Naval from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. 2 questions. First, if you can share what was the industry growth rate for 4Q, like what we have delivered close to around 16% in our RAC segment. And second, why have receivables gone up so much Is it because of Sidwal or on the core business as well?
So hi, Naval. If you look into it, Naval, the industry, though due to lockdown, obviously the first quarter was a complete washout, but then industry grew back, and the industry has grown at almost around 19-20% if you see in the last quarter. So industry has definitely rebounded in the last Q4, and but again, obviously now the lockdown, the localized lockdown has happened, so we are impacted by that definitely. But in Q4 there was a complete demand, and the industry came back to normalized level, as well as at the same time, grew by almost 19%.
Sir, follow up on this. We have added new customers, in the last 6 to 9 months. Still our growth number is lower than industry. So is it the case where we have lost some incremental volumes or competitive intensity has increased, or there was something else to read into this?
Oh, no, if you see, we have outnumbered again the growth numbers over here. We have grown by almost around 22% on the revenue segment, while the industry grew by almost around 18-19% over here. So we have outgrown the numbers. However, definitely, if you see, many customers were impacted due to lockdown. There was a lot of uncertainties over here panning out in the demand and demand aggregation. While at the same time, the industry was growing, but at the same time, many customers, there was due to the lockdown situations as well as the demand situation, there was a lot of uncertainties in the demand side of the world also. But yes, again, total total industry, it has done pretty good, and we are confident again that industry should rebound again now after this lockdowns are done.
Understood. And sir, second question on that working capital.
Sudhir, you have.
Yeah, hi Naval. So on the working capital, if you see that our revenue has grown in all the subsidiaries except one. So the receivables number are in line with the growth, because receivables are always in line with the quarterly sales, not for the yearly sales. So if you see quarterly sales, that has been increased by 20%, more than 21%. So that receivables are in line with that only. There is no exceptional thing, or there is no delay in payment from any of the customers. There was some delay in Sidwal, but that is completely recovered in the month of April, because there is a slow payment in the month of March due to various government agencies are the part of the debtors. But there is no major thing. That is a year-round, every year scenario in Sidwal. So that is not an exceptional thing. Anything happened in current financial year.
And no change in credit terms for the brands also?
No change in that.
Understood. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, please limit your question to 2 per participants only. You may rejoin the question queue if you have a follow-up. The next question is from the line of Pulkit Patni from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Sure, sir. Thanks for taking my question. Sir, my question is slightly longer term. Can you talk about where we are in the VRV, VRF development cycle today, and how should we look at that segment over the next 4 to 5 years for us?
Yeah, good morning, Pulkit. So to answer your question about VRV and VRF, definitely VRV and VRFs are, penetrating the air conditioner industry very well, and we see a lot of opportunity over here. And in lieu of this opportunity only, we started our commercial AC production, and we already have, already started offerings in the commercial side of the world. So earlier we were giving only room AC, which is 1.5 ton and 2 ton and 1 ton. Now we are already giving the 5.5 ton, 8.5 ton, 11.5 ton air conditioners also. At the same time, we are venturing and already developing the cassette ACs and cassette air conditioners also. And additionally, in VRV, VRF, which is obviously a completely new technology and it is a very technology product. So we have already started venturing into that. Our R&D teams are already working on that. The 6 HP and 10 HP is something which we have already earmarked, and VRV, VRF segment is something which we are definitely looking at as a growth opportunity as we move forward. So we are already in discussions with our R&D, and R&D is completely working on it on this segment. And this segment is something which we would venture as we move forward. But since it is a technological product and it requires a lot of electronics and software development, and a lot of development has to go into it, so it would definitely take a little while. But this is some segment which we are definitely looking at.
Sir, would you need a partner for this product, or you can do everything in-house?
So, Pulkit, we are definitely working on the both angles. There are some models of VRV which we can look at ourselves also, but at the same time, since it is a software technological product, we would be definitely venturing with some solution providers over there in terms of development. But we continue to explore, which is whatever the best sense makes in what segment it makes sense. So as a segment, if I talk about, definitely this is something a good segment as we move forward, and this is penetrating into the air conditioner segment very well. But definitely we are already working with our technological partners over there in order to give the complete solution to the industry.
Sure, sir. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Ghosh from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So just wanted to understand a couple of things. One is we've seen some amount of gross margin deterioration. So if you can just elaborate in terms of how should one look at it in light of the raw material price increase and your negotiation with customers, how should one look at it? Will it be kind of offset in the coming quarters? How should one look at it? That's my first question.
Yeah. So Abhishek, in terms of gross margin, if you look at, in percentage side, because the commodity scene was very different and there was a lot of commodity price increase. So in percentage time, it might look subdued, but absolutely, if you see, it is in line to the historical values. At the same time, we have been able to pass on all the increases, and we continue to do the same. As per the pricing, whatever the commodity increase happened, we were able to pass on the same to all the customers and get the increases in a time-bound fashion.
Okay. Sir, effectively, whatever was the gross margin on a per unit terms, what you were probably earning earlier, you continue to earn despite the inflation. Is the effective way you're looking at it?
Sudhir?
Yeah. Can you just repeat, Abhishek?
So, Sudhir, what I was trying to understand, maybe in percentage terms, what Jaspreet is kind of mentioning that percentage terms may not be the correct this thing. So what I was trying to understand, on a per AC term, the gross margin that you earned earlier, are you kind of maintaining that given the raw material price increase? Have you been able to kind of maintain that? Is what I was trying to understand.
That is in line because our model is cost plus basis. So whatever cost increases there in terms of the commodity or the raw material prices, that is being passed on to customers with some lag, depending upon the customer. Some customers there is a lag of 1 month, some are at quarter, and some are at PO level. So all are being passed on to the customer, and there is no deterioration in the per unit margins as far as it is concerned. So that is in line.
Sure. And Jaspreet, just one more thing. If you look at, in that journey, you are at a point in time where obviously both restrictions have been implied. There's a PLI, this thing coming in both for high value, low value. Also, there is a compressor, this thing down the road. So in that light, and given that now you don't have leverage on your balance sheet, On a very broad basis, your CapEx announcements now will be a function of PLI detail coming in the near term, and B, in terms of how much leverage are you ready to take, and beyond that you will get strategic partners, given whatever has been the expectation of the cash flows or the EBITDA. You can just give us one broad picture around it. It will be helpful. Thanks.
So Abhishek, in terms of the expansion, the CapExes, we are pretty cognizant in terms of the leveraging, and we will be continuing to do so. However, definitely there are a lot of opportunities on our way, like PLI is coming, and then obviously, the customers which we have done refrigerant fill, we would like to move them into the complete manufacturing. So that's why we have earmarked already, the two expansion plans, greenfield facilities in Supa as well as in South in Chennai over there. But at the same time, we would be definitely always cognizant of, the leveraging levels, while at the same time grab these opportunities, which is PLI, and at the same time, give the solutions to our customers. Yeah.
Any number at which you'll kind of cap your maybe net debt to EBITDA or anything? Any thoughts on that?
No, we'll always see. I mean, let's again, like, since the PLI schemes and all that is still in, very fluid, and fine-tuned version is yet to come. So putting out any numbers over there definitely would not be there. But however, we would definitely keep in trend to what historically we have been, and we would not like to leverage a lot over there. At the same time, internal accruals are good enough where we can already fund all our expansion plans through internal accruals also. So definitely, I would not like to put any numbers over there, but at the same time, I would like to just ensure that we would be very cognizant in balancing the opportunities, at the same time being not very leveraged. Hello?
Does that answer your question? Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Srinidhi Karlekar from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity, sir. So just a couple of questions from my end. First is, sir, out of the standalone revenue of 2,300 odd crore, how much is the contribution of compressors, which is typically a pass-through item for Amber?
So Srini, out of this 2,295 crore turnover, around 320 odd crore is from the compressor.
And it's completely pass-through, right? No gross profit, no EBITDA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And the second, I want to understand is how much has been the ballpark price increase on an aggregated level that you are billing in this quarter compared to same quarter last year, like Q1 22 versus Q1 21?
So, sir, on an average, sir, there has been an increase of almost 10 to 12%, sir, on the total product, complete like indoor and outdoor mixed together.
10 to 12, is it?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay. And so last, I just want to understand the opportunity on the motor side. I know, sir, you said that you intend to double revenue in PICL over 2 to 3 years. But just, sir, out of the total motors that are required for the domestic market, how much, according to you, is imported as of now? And second is, sir, if it is possible, would it be possible to say a couple of competitors that you have in this segment?
So in this, if you see, today almost around, I would say 70% of the motors is still imported. While at the same time in PICL, if you see, we are not present, we are not offering the solution of BLDC in those motors. However, we have already done the capex of that, and in this year financially we will be starting to do that. So that segment is completely vacant for us, where we can capitalize upon that and take this as an opportunity, both in the captive users as well as the solution to the customer. So we are already giving good solutions to our outdoor unit, motors. While at the same time on the BLDC side, we would like to venture into that. Already the capex and the R&D and the designs are already been finalized, and we are now talking to all the customers where we are giving the outdoor motors. The same set of customers, definitely we can give them the solution for the indoor motors.
And sir,
definitely looking at the export side also on the motors because of the China Plus One strategy for various customers out of US and the Middle East. They are definitely looking at PICL and good growth can come out of that segment also. So we are already in touch, already in discussion, and I would say advanced stages to close down of motors for export to US, large size OEM over there, and hopefully we should be able to start production probably end of this financial year over there.
Great. And sir, competition, is it predominantly MNCs like companies out of China and Japan, or do you have some competition from domestic suppliers as well?
So there are local manufacturers which are MNCs, and competition is both in China as well as local manufacturing, but multinational companies over here.
Okay. Thanks for answering my question, sir. All the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, please limit your question to 2 per participants only. The next question is from the line of Sandeep Tulsiyan from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, very good morning, sir. So my first question is pertaining to the volume numbers you shared. They indicate kind of a 20% decline over last year. While you mentioned there's a price hike, overall RAC segment value has gone down by 30%. So if you can just help us connect, is it a function of mix or there is some other factor over here that you're missing?
Yeah, Sandeep, there will be a factor of other products as well. So revenue includes various components. And if I talk about the console level, it includes various subsidiaries where the complete component segment is there, not the finished good RAC. So RAC decline is in line with the industry decline. The way industry has declined due to the COVID sector in H1. So similarly, our volume has also impacted.
Okay, so this 2.1 million unit volume that you're saying is not just pertaining to the RAC segment, it's a combination of the other segments.
No, this 2.1 million is the RAC only, but value is including component as well.
No, I'm referring to the RAC segment value that is down 30%, while this 2.1 kind of implies a 20% decline versus numbers you shared last year. So that is, the RAC segment is what I was trying to actually connect.
So volume decline is by around 30%, and value is also similarly declined.
Oh, okay. Maybe I have the last year numbers. I'll just get that corrected. Okay.
Yeah.
And secondly, on the export side, in the previous calls, you have highlighted some of the OE relationships that were under development. If you can share some update specific to which regions, which customers, and by when are those supplies likely to start?
So on the export side, sir, last time on the call we explained majorly we were targeting 2 sectors. It was the Middle East side and second was the US side. So on the Middle East side, sir, the certifications and the approvals have been completed. So we shall soon be starting the supplies. While on the US side, so the sample submissions have been done. So probably we expect the approvals in next 8 to 10 months.
Okay. So FY22 probably Middle East can start and next year is when we're targeting to start US.
Yes, sir. Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, sir. Sir, I have one question on your manufacturing. Now, given the nationwide lockdown, almost most of the capacities that your factories are running.
Mr. Rahul, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but your audio is not clearly audible, sir. We are unable to hear you well. Can you please use the handset mode while speaking?
Yeah, sure. I hope this is better.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now, given the lockdown in the country, I want to understand what is the capacities that your factories are running at, and have you seen your customers, curtailing their orders or delaying the orders? And over here, if you can give us some quantitative data, that will be helpful.
So, sir, if you see, so the lockdown started from somewhere around 20th of April. So obviously, May was more or less a washout. But as the industries were allowed to operate, so obviously, sir, orders got curtailed because of the inventories in the system. But if I talk right now, what is happening is that we are again seeing some specific models demand that is coming up. And also with the delayed summer, so the north side is like picking up it right now. So earlier, like north used to pick up in the week, like in the tree land or May week 1, while it has moved by 3 or 4 weeks. So if I talk in terms of capacities, so our factories like RAC factories are running at a capacity of somewhere around 40-45% right now.
Okay. And my second question is, now if the industry were to move to the next level of energy efficiency, which was expected, in January 22, any update on that? And if you were to move in January 22, what is the kind of price increase that we could be looking at?
So sir, if you see today out of the total market, so 60% contribution comes from inverters. So sir, in inverters primarily there shall not be a price increase. Reason being is that because of the electronics, so we are able to match up in the same price. While on the on-off side, that is the balance 40%, so there will be a price increase, sir. So if I see average price increase should be somewhere to a tune of like 400 to 600 rupees per air conditioner.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much. That is very helpful.
Right, sir. Right.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Renu Baid from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good morning, sir. So just two questions from my side. First, given that we have seen that this commodity price inflation has continued even now in the first quarter 22, and demand offtake has been a bit soft. So how should we look at the pricing action for you as well as for the industry? And you think this time the price increase should come through in a timely fashion, or there could be again delays like last year because of this demand offtake?
See, probably if you see the price increases majorly because of 4 commodities. So probably if you see right now out of those 4 commodities, aluminium, steel and resin are more or less stable. So what is like increasing is still copper. And if I see in the total product price, the contribution of copper increase should not be more than like 2 to 3%. If I take copper alone as a commodity. And looking into the lockdowns, probably in the month of May, so we feel that at least the second quarter, more or less, everyone should be covered with the inventories of the copper at the old prices. So we don't see that the price increase should be affected at least in next quarter.
Sure. And so the second question is, we have started to hear a couple of smaller peers of Amber have started to scale through. Some of your other customers are supporting them. So are you seeing competitive intensity or competition for you increasing in the domestic market while you continue to retain the cost leadership and the volume leadership in the space? So are you seeing competitive intensity increasing for you across product ranges, including largely RAC segments? And will that have any impact on potential pricing or other discussions, negotiations with customers? Thank you.
The competition intensity is increasing for sure, but as we have earlier discussed, so these products are not like a very small entry barrier. These products have long entry barriers. So because of the, lot of critical components being placed into that. And second thing is that the scale at today we are, along with that economies of scale that helps us for making the, price competitiveness. Apart from that, the competitive edge comes with Amber along with the backward integration of the controllers, motors that are today the main critical components that are playing the part, specifically the inverters coming up into the picture. So we see that like the competitiveness that we are getting is primarily only on the assembly of the air conditioners. But if you see as an overall package, with the R&D support and the backward integration of all the critical components, so we are well placed on that front. So it should not be any challenge for us.
Sure. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The next question is from the line of Ravi Swaminathan from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Just wanted to check with you if assume that all the lockdowns are lifted from June onwards, are we in line to do a revenue similar to what we had done, say, last year? Or if you say at least volumes similar to last year, so are we in line to do that? Or probably it will be more than that, volumes?
So the last year we are talking of like 2021.
Yeah, FY21 volumes would we match FY21 volumes, or we can even do better than that? Or what kind of growth we will be targeting?
So Ravi, I think so in this, if you see, so this time what has happened is that localized lockdowns are happening. So though they are definitely, May is a washout, but like as Sachin mentioned that the summers are still there in north, and so we are looking at an uptick in June. However, how this condition pans out, how unlockdown pans out, these are very highly uncertain times. But we are hopeful that if all goes well and unlockdown happens in June, we should be fairly better than last year, definitely, for sure. But at the same time, how the things do look out and how the looks pans out is yet to be certain and looked into, basically.
Got it. And in terms of capex, next 2 years, cumulative, what kind of capex we are likely to do?
So in the terms of capex, if you see, Ravi, that we have earmarked already around 290 odd crores for 2 greenfield facilities, one in Supa and one in Chennai and down south. So Supa we have already acquired the land, the construction has started, while at the same time the agreements and all that are being finalized for down south. And the construction should start probably in another next 2-3 months' time. And should be operational by the end of this financial year or next financial year. Rest all is the capex, maintenance capex, and the regular capex.
So overall, it should be around 400 crores of capex. Can we assume something
less
over
than
2 years?
Because now the maintenance capex is not that high, so it should be a little less than that. Yes.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Bhatia from Investec. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, sir. So earlier we had spoken about these 2 greenfield facilities forming part of eligible capex under PLI scheme. Now that the scheme is only for components, does that still hold true?
So the PLI scheme is right now only for components. This is what we are seeing. So it's divided into 3 parts. Obviously, one is the AC components. If someone want to amalgamate the complete, all the component together. Second is obviously the IGT compressors and aluminum, which are higher value, and the third is the lower value, which is PCB and motors. And we are hearing that it might also include heat exchangers, sheet metal, and injection molding, but yet that is yet to be seen.
Sure. But the 2 greenfield facilities that we have been speaking about, would they form part of eligible capex, let's say for category 3?
Yeah.
Or we'll have to do incremental capex if we want to participate under the PLI scheme.
So like it's yet to be seen if it comes in sheet metal and injection molding. Definitely, it would be those will be eligible, but otherwise they might not be eligible also. But however, definitely they would also include PCBs at that location, so that if then that PCBs would be involved. So it would be component to component basically, rather than I would say location to location. So because multiple components are made at multiple locations. So the PLI scheme would be definitely at a group level and at various locations rather than one location only.
Understood, sir. And so when we say that minimum capex of let's say 100 crores required for low value components, it is 100 crores for all components put together, or it's 100 crores for motors separately, PCB separately?
No, so if you see, it is as per the application. So lower value, like if you mention that it is 100 crores, so it would be completely as per the application. If you put an application in motors and PCB, definitely that would be involved. But if you put it separate, then it would be as a separate one also. However, fine-tuned version is yet to be seen. It might be that it can be looked at one application if it is various application under one group is putting, whether that would be combined together is yet to be seen, basically, yet to be discussed, and it's already under discussion and yet to be seen what it comes out in the fine-tuned version.
Understood, sir. Understood. And what is your take on, let's say, some of the brand owners also participating under the PLI scheme? Are you getting any feelers given the contours of the scheme, or do you think that because finished products are not there, this scheme is no longer very lucrative for brand owners?
Well, I would not like to comment upon anybody's strategy over here, but definitely I'm sure everybody would be looking at what it makes sense and what opportunities. However, as as per the PLI scheme, since it is for components, and as Amber is rightly placed solution provider for components, so definitely as Amber, we would be able to capitalize upon it and also offer a complete, good package that benefit to the customer if we aggregate the complete demand.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Thanks. This is very useful.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, please limit your question to 2 per participants only. The next question is from the line of Hiren Trivedi from Axis Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Just like to ask on Sidwal, if you could help with the current order book of Sidwal and the growth outlook over the next 2 years. So any internal targets where you would like to take revenues over the next 2 years time frame for Sidwal?
So Sidwal is doing good, and we have a strong order book over here. So we already bagged a big size project for BEML, and we are already in discussion with the pretty big size another project for rapid rate transport systems. At the same time, also there was a refurbished project which also was backed by Sidwal. So we see a strong order book over there of around 350 odd crores sitting there, which has to be executed over next 2 financial years. So and then more like now more and more modernization is happening of the coaches. So definitely Sidwal is a rightly placed company to capitalize upon that. As the modernization happens, the air conditioning would definitely happen. The speeds are increasing of the trains, and projects like rapid rate transport systems as well as various cities have already earmarked metro systems in their respective cities. So definitely, and then as Sidwal, we are now offering the solutions to pretty much all the major coach builders in the country today. So hopefully, looking into this scenario of increase in modernization, more and more new projects coming, Sidwal is rightly placed company in order to give that benefit and grab this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, sir, and all the best. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amber Singhania from Asian Market Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, for the question. Just something for you, one clarification. You mentioned that industry has grown around 89.
We are not able to hear you. Can you please a little bit speak up? I think so, or is it me only?
Yeah. Is it audible now? Hello?
Yeah, a little better.
So just one clarification. Wanted to know that you mentioned 19% is the industry growth for this quarter, whereas Sidwal has grown at around 22%. This is on the backdrop of import ban being in place, which was not there last year. So just wanted to understand, is the import substitution has started happening? If it is happening, then is it that the other competition is taking a larger portion of those substitutions? What exactly is the situation? If you can give us some color on that, with some numbers there on that.
Yeah. So, Mr. Singhania, if you see the import, ban happened in month of October, and the numbers which we did, 2.1 million, which we are mentioning, is not the refrigerant filling. Does not involve that, because that's only refrigerant filling. At the same time, now we are pretty confident, and that was a kind of a phase 1 and immediate action plan in order to just address that market and start giving the solution and connect with the customers. So we, in view of this import ban, we were able to add 6 new customers, and pretty much every one of these customers are talking about localized and complete manufacturing now in India instead of only refrigerant ban, instead of only refrigerant filling, basically. So some of these customers shall be converted this year, and remaining shall be converted last year. So end of next financial year, we should be able to see that all of these customers are manufacturing and with us, and they are pretty large size customers, all of them. and we are hopeful to, that we convert this and start giving them a complete solution of localized, and then you can see that these numbers would be transforming into our volumes also.
So, sir, as you, if I recollect correctly, we were roughly around 1.8 to 2 million pieces used to get imported in India before the ban as such. So given the current situation, if suppose something everything gets normalized, what is the incremental business you see coming to us in terms of just import substitution on the normalized situation? And secondly, sir, if you can share some numbers on export, what kind of export you have done?
So if you see that around in imports, around 86% imports were curtailed. Like if you see the import data now, so starting in January, February, March, if you see pretty much all the imports which are happening is now transformed into localized manufacturing or refrigerant filling over here. So, and as Amber has already grabbed the line share over here in refrigerant filling already, and when we convert this into the localized manufacturing, so that would definitely add into the number. So if you see, the import ban is helping us, but we could not grab this opportunity in terms of the volume addition because the import ban was announced in October, November, which in order to give them complete local solutions, you need to enhance your capacity as well as enhance the complete, these are all the multinationals and big ticket size customers, so it requires a lot of, evaluation of the products, a lot of, approvals are there. So it's a high reliable cycle over there. So it does take time. So we started with refrigerant filling and connected with customers, and now these would be converting into the localized manufacturing.
Okay, and numbers on export, sir?
Sorry? You're not audible.
Sir, export number.
Sir, export as I explained, sir, because it has been recently approved, so like we are just making the first shipment. So probably, after the customer feedback on the product side, so I guess, sir, this year probably it would be more or less, sending the very few thousand numbers. We shall convert into good numbers in 3 years down the line. This year we see just it's a kind of start, sir.
Fine. That's all from us, sir. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Jain from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir, I just wanted one clarification. So, the point that you made that 86% of imports are now impacted, but from what we have picked up from our checks, a lot of ACs have moved to being, imported without refrigerant filling and all. So, can you just indicate how much is the actual drop in volumes as far as imports of ACs are concerned?
Second?
These are probably volume numbers, so it keeps on varying, sir. The data that we have for the imports, so if they see, like, there would be a drop of as good as 70-75%. Now, coming to your point that you are able to see that a lot of refrigerant-filled air conditioners are coming, so probably we will say that those air conditioners are coming from the customer's parent companies. But there would have been a huge decrease from the ACs that were coming primarily from China. So if you see, sir, majorly import happens in our country from majorly 3 countries, out of which like 60-70% contribution used to come from China, 30% contribution used to come from Thailand, and the balance used to come from the other part of the world, like, South Korea and all. So we feel that the Thailand portion remains as is because the customer's parent lies over there, while the 60% of imports happening from China has come down. So this is the data points that we have, sir.
Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, we take that as the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Daljit Singh for closing comments.
So thank you everyone for joining us, and I hope we were able to answer all your queries. In case you require any further details, you may please contact us or our investor relation advisors, strategic growth advisors. Thank you, and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Amber Enterprises India Limited, we conclude today's conference. Thank you all for joining. You may now disconnect your lines.